Hello, welcome to Jupiter or Not to Jupiter, the skills lost in Jupyter Notebooks. I'm Catherine Cronister, and today I'll be discussing why I believe Jupyter Notebooks hinder the development of novice programmers. Let's begin with an example. As you can see, we have a very simple script running in a Jupyter Notebook, and we run each cell in order. It's pretty easy to follow. However, a big part of Jupyter Notebooks is we start messing around and trying new things, but as you can see here, we quickly lose our linearity and it's really hard to follow what I ran when, and I'm just kind of hard to tell it. What should X be right now? However, if we run the exact same script in a text editor and then from the command line, it's very easy to see we'll get the exact same result every time. It takes a lot of this confusion out for a novice programmer, and it's just makes a lot more sense. This brings me to my first issue with Jupyter Notebooks, this lack of linearity. I'd like to use the example of recipes. Jupyter Notebooks are like you have all the ingredients, but you don't really have a recipe to follow. You can put the eggs in and then bake them and then try to add flour, but each time you could get a very different cake. However, when you use a text editor, you're going to put the eggs in, then the flour, then bake it, and get the exact same cake every time. This is really important for novice programmers because there's already so many new things they're learning at once. To have to understand the order at which they're running their code on top of it just adds too much confusion. So taking this out and using a text editor instead makes for just the total understanding to be better. However, Jupyter Notebooks really add to that confusion, and I think that's a major downside of Jupyter Notebooks, specifically for novice programmers. This brings me to my next issue of blind runs. What's great about Jupyter Notebooks is how easy it is to test things out. You can run a cell over and over again, change values, and see exactly what's happening. However, I truly believe this doesn't really cause you to develop debugging skills. For example, you can add a semicolon, change it, run it, and then all of a sudden you're just typing and changing. You don't even know what you changed that made your code work. I know, especially for myself, when I first started coding and using Jupyter Notebooks, I would just type and run, type and run, type and run, and I really wasn't thinking through what I was doing. However, when I started working in text editors, I really had to stop and think, what was I changing and why? If I change something at the top of my script, how is it affecting the for loop at the bottom? And when I was debugging it, if I put a print statement in the middle to see what my outcome would be, I had to know where to put the print statement. I had to know what to print. I had to know what I expected to print. And you really have to think about how your code interacts as a whole rather than separate cells. And I truly believe that's important for novice programmers because it's so much more than just here's a for loop on its own and here's something else over here. High-level programming that really you need to develop as you get older stems from this idea of knowing how everything interacts as a whole. So here's where I stand on Jupyter. Jupyter Notebooks are amazing. They allow you to visualize what's happening line by line and do quick real-time trial and error. They are a great way to get your toes wet, and I would recommend them to anyone who's starting out or someone really advanced who wants a quick and dirty way to work through their problem. However, for those that have little experience but want to solidify their skills, I would challenge you to walk away from the cozy world of Jupyter and wander into the unknown of a text editor. Try to write a deliverable script or try to really understand the error messages that come back. After all, what we all love about being programmers is the challenge of it all, right? Thank you for coming to my talk and have a great day.